Welcome to Around the Blockchain. Today we're talking about crypto investors fleeing all of the exchanges and historic outflows and maybe a little Q&A. It's going to be a fantastic episode. We're going to get right into it. On the top right, we have Crypto Keeper holding it down. He's got the green light on. Does that mean the bull market's on? On the bottom right, we have Crypto Crow. No longer just a plain green background. You have a little pizzazz going, and we love it. Jason Appleton. On the bottom left, we have Sin City Crypto. Some may even say Michael Saylor's somewhere around that office lounging. And then on the top left, we have he's ready. He's sleeveless. Is he ready for a trip to the Bahamas? I don't know. It is Ben Armstrong. And let's get right into the markets first, because it has been a little bit volatile lately. Give me one second. I'll pull this up. Bitcoin is largely flat, but the weekly is what I want to showcase here, down 20%. For the week, and Ethereum down 22%, and largely the rest of the market is falling in that range, that 20 to 30% range. So we have a little bit of a cool off period. Ben, I just kind of want to start with Bitcoin's, some would say, historically low price right now. How are you feeling? Are you feeling fear or greed, actually?
You know, I just had an interesting thought, maybe about 15 minutes ago, which I have an interesting thought about once a month, and this was the time. You know, Bitcoin is low right now, and there are a lot of rumors of an XRP settlement. There's a lot of rumors of this settlement. Now, we know that it was front ran on Fox Business this morning. A title that said, a title card that said XRP settlement or Ripple settlement, and of course it was when Natalie Brunell was on there, trashing XRP, of course, as she does. But it made me wonder, TJ made the comment like, yeah, they came out and corrected that, but what if they meant it for Wednesday instead of Monday? Like, what if that settlement is coming soon? There's a lot of rumors flying around. I've been trying to figure out how Bitcoin keeps from going in the total tank. Well, if that XRP settlement were to come this week, which would be surprising to me, but if it did happen, that could maybe help this market bounce back just a little bit, enough to keep it from maybe going to, down to the bottom end of that $10,000 range. But look, what my expectation is that we're going to be correct. We told you all year long, Bitcoin bottoms after the midterm elections. Here we are after the midterm elections. We got a bottom of about 15.5 the other day, maybe 15.2, somewhere around there. Hasn't gone into the range, the $10,000 to $14,000 range that we've seen before. What's interesting, when you say historically low, it's actually been historically high. Historically low would be that 85% drop down to $10,366, but we haven't seen that yet. And then, in fact, we've actually seen Bitcoin hold the line well over the last couple of days as we had this massive FTX debacle. The question is, when do we start feeling the reverberating effects of this? How much Bitcoin is actually locked up that people can't get access to sell right now? And I think somewhere in between those two polar opposites, you'll find the truth of where the Bitcoin price is going to sit. I think generally by the end of this month, we hit about 14,000, 13,000, maybe 12,000, establish a bottom. Next month, we get the Fed dropping the amount of points raised to either nothing or either 0.5. Both would be bullish, or 50 bips. Both would be bullish. Maybe we can set a bottom and move up. As long as this entire industry does not completely burn over the next month, I think we are looking at a bottom very soon.
All right, well, we will get into outflows in a second, but Crypto Crow, I want to bend your ear on kind of what Ben said. He brought up XRP. There was that Fox News, that title card that did go up. It's up 10% on the day. Everything else is down about 1%, but, it's in the double digits green right now. I made this tweet, and I want to share. It's kind of talking about the cycle bottom. Where are we at? Mid-December 2018 was the previous low. That was 363 days after all-time high in 2017 and 514 days before the next halving. Today, 369 days after all-time high, kind of similar, and approximately 525 days before the next halving, also very similar. If XRP wins this week, is the bottom in? Is the bull market starting?
No.
Oh, okay. So still goes lower if they win.
Well, to me, it's kind of the same sentiment as people saying, oh, because I've been calling for new lows for a while, right? Everybody's calling for, the bottom was hit at 17.5 and, time to go to the moon and this and that. I'm like, no, we're not done. We're still early. And, then people are saying, because of this whole black swan, the FTX debacle and everything associated with that we still have, I'm sure, haven't uncovered, even the tip of that. And, how that's playing into pushing the price lower. But what I keep trying to explain to people is that every bear market has black swans. This just happens to be one of the biggest now. And there are likely going to be more as we continue to push forward into the halving. So the same sentiment for me is it's not just about these instances of, pros versus con that happen during this cycle. It's the grand picture that everybody should be looking at, not just, oh, well, this happened today, so this is what I expect tomorrow and the day after. I think the grand scale of things doesn't necessarily change. These are just catalysts to making some of these things happen for better or worse in the interim, right? So this XRP thing, let's say there is a settlement. All right, that's wonderful. Maybe we get a pump for 24, 48 hours as some people can continue to start pouring into XRP and speculate on that. But in the grand scale of things, I don't necessarily see things changing. And quite honestly, I think we're going to still go down. I mean, I've done these calculations with the days in between this and that. And there are variables to each one of these cycles, give or take 30, 40 days. I don't even think we're going to see a bottom until likely January, if not February of 2023. And then from that point, we'll start to get closer to the halving and maybe inch our way up towards the halving date.
Yeah, when I looked at the data, I was actually surprised it was a full 500 days before the halving when the reverse was there. I thought it was a lot closer to a year. So when I saw that, it was, yeah, we are in this range, and yeah, January, that's close enough. It's going to be interesting to see. All right, now, Crypto Keeper, I want to talk to you about some of the withdrawals we've seen when it comes to Bitcoin. The number of whale wallets with more than 1,000 is increased by 3,000 Bitcoin. 3 billion worth of Bitcoin has been withdrawn over the past 7 days. And also the shrimp accounts, which is whole coiners, that number has increased by 33,000 Bitcoin. So we got 33 new shrimps that have entered the ecosystem. Crypto Keeper, my question is, normally Bitcoin just pouring out of the exchanges, this is a bullish sign. Last time it reached these levels was April of 21, where we were near all-time high right there at the time. Is the reverse in? Is this no longer a bullish scenario, or is it a bullish scenario? It just hasn't played out yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I think that it's not a bullish scenario, but I also wouldn't say that it is. I think we've been talking for a long time on Debate Crypto about, you need to self-custody your funds. And I think for a long time, people would hear the words, but they would just go in one ear and out the other, because a lot of people aren't wanting to learn, especially when they first come into the space. They don't want to be responsible for actually educating themselves. And then they also don't want to be responsible for actually holding their funds. They're so used to doing what? Go to the bank. The bank holds my money. And so I think people were looking at this as a bank. And when a bank gets robbed, when it actually gets robbed, at least the way that it used to be, my money's safe as long as it was less than 250K and this, that, and the third. Well, guess what? With the regulations that are not in the crypto space, that's not even the case. And so what I think this did was kind of open people's eyes, and people were saying, yeah, wow, we actually are in a bad position by allowing these exchanges to hold our funds. I think it's unfortunate. It seems like everyone learns lessons the hard way. And I feel bad for the people that lost money holding on exchanges. For a long time, I have had just what I'm trading in exchanges and a little bit here and there, but nothing of any significant value. And I did it just for the standpoint that, our motto is question everything, trust nothing. Just I understand, or understood and understand, that exactly what happened can happen. So what I think in regards to the inflows and outflows of Bitcoin, I think what we're going to see is just a little something different. I think what we're going to see is we will see people are going, instead of going from the exchange to a hardware wallet just to let it sit, we're going to see a lot more random inflows coming in as well. People are going to actively use their hardware wallet as an intermediary between, exchange, hold on a hardware wallet, trade, exchange, hardware wallet, trade. And I think that somebody's going to have to figure out how to break that up, and any company that does is gonna do really well. And the hardware wallet companies, Ledger's probably doing freaking fantastic right now. So
yeah, and Ledger, I mean, they
that's kinda
do
my
a lot of good services. They prevent people from losing their shirt or losing their sleeves when things like this
Yep.
do happen. And yeah, if you do
Facts.
want to, you can save some money. I think we have a little link if you are interested in it. Save some shekels there. Sin City Crypto. I want to throw one more figure your way. This is from Glassnode. Yesterday, they reported the monthly outflow 104,000 Bitcoin. It's almost a historical record right there. But I want to talk about the other shoe yet to drop. Should we be worried that we can also expect maybe a record number of inflows in the near future? And is this on your mind as far as price action goes?
Well, what we're seeing is, so the streets are on fire. The house is on fire right now. The exchanges, and people are grabbing all their belongings, and they're running. They're taking all their Bitcoin, and they're leaving until the fires are put out. I do think they'll pile back into the exchanges. I think people are just they are gonna follow the same pattern as they do before. And as the new retail investors get in on the next bull market cycle, you're going to see a new wave of inexperienced traders or people that aren't familiar with self-custody, and thus going to dwarf the numbers that we had before. So in the long term, I think they'll get back into the exchanges, they'll make the money. But what I think we're going to see is that the retail that is familiar with using the wallet now, we're starting to see that there's a lot more transactions happening on DEXs right now. So DEXs are, Vitalik sold like a few $1 million worth of ETH as well. And then if you think about it, I mean, it's a safe way to play. That's what crypto was built for, was to self-custody and use protocols to transact in crypto. And I think that's what we're gonna see in the future from now on. Also, I want to say that I do got my guns out because I've been eating my green beans. If you're not familiar, green beans make you strong.
Yeah, it's right next to spinach. Yeah, when it comes to bicep growth,
Yeah.
it's green beans, spinach, then like red meat and protein powder. Ben, we're talking about not your keys, not your crypto. Is this a short-learned lesson? Are more or less people going to self-custody as we move towards the future? I could see an argument for both because dApps, they get a little bit more sophisticated. You don't have to write down your seed phrase, but then there's blow-ups, and so people might want to do it more. So where do you think the direction is heading?
I think Trust Wallet is going to be the number one used wallet because look, here's the fact about a cold storage wallet. There's several steps. You have to buy it, you have to receive it, you have to learn how to use it, you have to download Ledger Live. It's a lot of steps to get your crypto off an exchange. Most people who are wanting to remove their crypto from exchange, there's something that occurs that makes them say, I need to get this off right now. And because of that, I think way more people are going to end up using hot wallets than the cold storage wallets. The cold storage wallet is a process learning how to use. So I think that is something that, many people are going to do. And like I said, we have a link. You guys can check out. Ledger will put it in the chat, put it down in the description. Certainly it is the number one hardware wallet, and it's the most reliable. It's been around forever. It's never been hacked. It's great. But most people are always going to opt for the laziest thing. And so because of that, I think really getting people well-versed in hot wallets and cold storage wallets is really the ticket going forward.
Yeah, and I think even Vitalik uses a hot wallet. If you remember the whole thing with Sheep, he had to travel to 2 continents, get 2 pieces of paper. He didn't have it in a ledger in a safe somewhere. It was a good old fashioned way. All right, now
being from Russia, obviously, it's already very cold there, so they're looking for warmth.
And Canada, so I mean, it's both ends. Yeah, it was in an ice block, I think. Crypto Crow, I mean, what do you think about that? Obviously, a fan of Bitcoin, fan of Cardano, big on decentralization. It's kind of the same vein of, are we going to go more towards self-custody or not? Do you think we're going to go towards more centralization or decentralization in the future?
That's honestly such a tough question because, and I'm watching my green screen behind me flicker. Yeah, and we're all doing the shirtless thing in honor of Ben and his green beans. Listen, I think that it's still going to be a combination of both. And, I actually went because I was going to go pick up a Ledger off of Amazon, and I went directly to the Ledger store, and they're all sold out. So, you know, I guess if there are links down below and you're able to get a legit ledger, then go for it. Get it while you can, because they're not up all over the place. But you know, I decentralize everything. So I have multiple computers, multiple phones. I have so many different ways of keeping track of everything I have. I have stuff written down. I have stuff in safe deposit boxes. It's like I have a level system to my security, because, you know, as most of you guys know, I've been hacked in the past years ago. So now I do ridiculous things in the vein of security. And, you know, the question, you know, I always shied away using some things because, you know, there was a time when you get a hardware wallet and you were buying it from a third-party manufacturer, and those guys were buying them and packing them, putting in Trojans, and then repackaging them, selling them on Amazon, and then people's funds were getting, you know, wiped out. So if you do get a hardware wallet, you definitely want to go directly from the manufacturer, not necessarily a third party, because you just never know what you're going to get. You know, decentralized hardware, it's going to be a mixed bag of everything, because we're always going to have so many different types of people in the space. We're always going to have newcomers that are, you know, getting courses and things and learning, you know, what's best at the time. And like you said, you know, people are going to go with the easiest approach as they're learning, because there's so much to absorb over a short period of time. And by the time a lot of these people are getting into crypto, they've got a few months to basically pack it all in, learn what they can, accumulate, and basically buy at the top before they sell at the crash.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, when most people come in, if it is in the top, it's 2 months away. So you make your moves and make them fast. Good point there. All right, well, I want to talk about some of these exchanges and whether or not they are insolvent. FTX, of course, they had $9 billion in liabilities and only $900 million in liquid assets, so only about 10% of that. And after that, Binance's CEO CZ suggested that all exchanges should provide proof of funds with Merkle trees. And some people actually came out. So Crypto.com and Huobi have already published their proof of reserves. Other people are saying they're going to come out with theirs, and Binance also saying they're going to do the same. OKX, US, so we have a couple other ones still coming out with those. Remains to be seen. There is a little bit of criticism. They're showing assets, but they're not showing liabilities. Crypto Keeper, why are people getting upset about this? Can you just kind of unpack that for people who don't understand? Why does that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. As a business owner, I can have all the assets in the world, but owe out a ton more money and have you know, I could have $10 million worth of assets, and I can show you all of the different pieces of equipment that I have, all the tools that I have, all the vehicles that I have. I can show you all of that, and just you would say, hey, this dude's got it going on. His business is flush. He's good to go. What I didn't tell you is that I have $12 million in liabilities currently at the same time. And what does that give you? That's going to give you a net $2 million. Now, people will argue, and this is a very fair thing to say, that they are leveraging and using OPM, other people's money, to establish and grow their business. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But right now, I think the space that we are in with everything that just happened with FTX, I mean, we've got rumors floating around that some of the exchanges, as they're pausing, I don't know if you heard this or not, but as they're kind of pausing withdrawals, they are making movements apparently from exchange to exchange to be able to show, I forget where I saw this, to be able to essentially take a snapshot, show that they have the reserves, and then send funds back through. I forget where I read that, but ultimately what I'm saying is people don't have very much trust in any of the exchanges right now. And quite honestly, they shouldn't. If the third largest exchange goes insolvent and basically was playing everyone for the fool the way that Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole group there at Alameda was, I don't think that they should have that trust. So yeah, I think that there is I think there's a big problem at hand, and yeah, we're gonna find out where it's headed. That's for sure. All
right. Well, from trust wallets to trusting reputations here, there were some that did show liabilities. Now, Sin City Crypto, Kraken, Coinbase, and Gate.io, they showed proof of reserves, but then they also showed their liability sheets. I want to ask you, we're talking about trust. Is liability sheets, is this the new Docs team? Is this something you're going to have to do moving forward to gain trust in this space? Or is this another lesson that people will forget 3 months from now, 2 months from now?
Well, what I want to see is that we expand on this third party audit. I think just a proof of reserve is not enough to simply say, like, hey, this is how many tokens I'm holding, doesn't really unveil the entire picture. I want to know, like, how much of your tokens are liquid assets, how much of them are locked up, and then you can't provide those if necessary. Do you have any leveraged debt? What does your debt look like? Who are you borrowing from? And I think if you have a third party intermediary that the entire industry trusts and that you have a representative for them come in and look at your books, not talking about just your addresses, but look at the books from top to bottom and see, like, what does everything, like, what's owed, what do you have stake, how liquid is everything? And then at that point, I think you can have an industry standard. We do this in all other aspects of business. I mean, you have it in the food and drug industry. They have third parties that are trusted, that are recognized. In the food industry, you got the NSA certification. You also have this in the financial sectors. Obviously, if you don't trust a third party, we don't get a standard, if we don't step up and do this now ourselves, then what's going to happen is that the government's going to come up and force their own transparency on there through regulation and through rules. And you know what? I'd rather us keep it in-house and take care of this problem than to force the regulators to come up with their own rules and regulations. And because this proof of reserve thing, it doesn't look good. I mean, you have Nexo, their proof of reserves look trash. You have crypto.com supposedly moving $500 million or $400 million from one exchange to another as a fat finger accident. And then on top of that, you know, there's suspicions that people are moving assets around just for the proof of reserves right before they disclose them. So right now, I just think that there's way too much manipulation when it comes to the numbers, and not enough transparency when it comes to the inner workings of the business, including debt and leverage.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And I think I kind of want to just bring up the crypto.com thing. Now, Ben, obviously there's a lot of rumors going around right now. We don't know what's fact, what's fiction, but apparently there was a little fat finger mistake when it came to a bunch of Ethereum. And apparently, whose Ethereum was it? There was an auditing that took place right then. Crypto.com sent it, and then they said, hey, yeah, we have all this ETH, and then they sent it back minus 285,000, I believe is the number. Are you believing the story? Was this just a fat finger? Was this just an accident? Was this, or is it, potentially trying to showcase funds that aren't there?
I think the bulk of these questions lies on Gate.io.
Yes.
I mean, when you're looking at Gate.io and they have these proof of reserves, and we know that, guys, this is blockchain. You can't hide these moves. We know Crypto.com sent them some money and then sent them back. Fat finger for that much money? I mean, that's hard to believe. I mean, I've sent $3,000 to the wrong address before. The most money I ever moved in one transaction was probably 150 ETH. And I've got steel cojones, so I'll do it. I've done it before. Now, I don't move any of my own crypto anymore. It's all corporate crypto. It's my CFO and my team handles all this stuff. I don't have to move anything anymore. But what I would say is, if they sent $400 million to the wrong address, I'd be pissed. Or however much it was, 400, whatever it was a lot of money. Is that what it was? $400 million?
I believe it was. I don't have the research in front of me. I'm just kind of going.
Guys, that's
here. It was a lot. It was a lot.
That's a lot of money to send to the wrong address. And I don't know what the CEO's response to that was. Wasn't it like, oh, well, we just sent it to a whitelisted address.
Mislabeled. Yeah, it was mislabeled.
Mislabeled address. Guys, something's not right about the story. Like,
yeah,
look, all these signs for FTX were right on our notes. And I like Crypto.com. I think Crypto.com is isolated from this FTX experience. A lot of people have said that, Crypto.com has been defrauded people for a long time. That has not been my experience with them. I know everybody's got their own story to tell. I haven't personally come across anything that I was like very concerned about Crypto.com. However, in this new crypto landscape, we have to be skeptical. We can't just trust. My bias is to trust Crypto.com. I like them. I used to work with them. I have a Crypto.com card. I use Crypto.com. I think it's a great exchange. That's my bias. But the skeptical side of me that's now got to be a little bit louder is something ain't right there. Something is not right with a $400 million transaction.
Or go ahead, Sin City. What are your thoughts? It is a little suspicious. I mean, are you believing the official story? Do you think there's something shady going on?
So there was an AMA last night. So there was an AMA from crypto.com. So he went out. So the CEO of crypto.com came out and he said that they're not rehypothecating any of the funds, and that the Bitcoin or crypto in general is all backed 1-to-1. They don't move any of the assets. Now, my question here is, if you're offering 5% staking on Bitcoin, then what motive do you have if you're doing nothing with the tokens? So if I stake Bitcoin, you give me 5%. If you're only letting it sit in a wallet address on hand, and you're spending resources to basically secure those assets without moving them, there's literally no advantage. You're taking a liability, you're taking a risk for storing somebody else's Bitcoin on your own platform. So to sit here and say you're only backing it 1-to-1 and you're not touching, you're not moving anything, but yet you're incentivizing the user to store the Bitcoin at 5% yield on their platform, it literally would make no sense, because you're taking on risk by putting Bitcoin on the platform. And so if you're taking on risk, then why would you pay somebody to do it? It makes no sense to me.
Crypto Keeper, I will ask you this, kind of, repack this one last time here before we go to Crow to wrap it up. You're the prepper guy. You're the DCA, Danger Close Alpha. I mean, what's the prepper in you saying? I mean, is there something underfoot that's meant to, dare I say, defraud us?
Yeah, I mean, the prepper in me says, we need to be really diversified. As much as I love crypto, as much as most of my wealth, so to speak, is in crypto, I also understand that having a hold of other assets is a really important thing to have right now. And I think that that's really important at any time. But right now, it's shining. The regulatory stuff that's going on and what they're going to push through the news. My little sister texted me while I was streaming and said, how does FTX affect you? The reason that that's such a big deal is because my sister doesn't watch crypto. She doesn't know anything about crypto, right? And so the fact that she was texting me that says one thing: they are pushing this hard as a story, and they want to make sure people know the big bad crypto is out there trying to take everybody's money. And so I would say, yeah, diversify and definitely be prepared. You have a responsibility to yourself and your family to do that. And if you got caught and you lost some money on FTX, the shameless shill is Danger Close Alpha's doing a 5 ETH competition soon, so you could come on over and check that out. Maybe you can win 5 ETH of that back.
All right, and Crypto Keeper's sister's in the chat. She said he never shared the toys growing up. He is lying. We're just kidding here. All right, Crypto Crow, I want to wrap it up with, what is the fallout? Do you think that crypto exchanges will fall under a fractional reserve style of rules, where if you have 10 customers with 1 Bitcoin each, you have to have at least 5 if you're trying to make money with their Bitcoin? Or do you think it'll just go to 1 of 1? You have 10 Bitcoin in your customers' assets, you have to have 10.
Man, there's so much to unpack in all this, and it's so funny that you asked me that specific question, because that was exactly what my next comment was going to be.
You look like a fractional reserve guy. Like you like to bring that up at Thanksgiving and stuff. Something about you, I don't know.
Well, because honestly, look, I mean, banks now, they don't even have to hold. They don't have to hold anything anymore. Yeah. They zero, exactly. And here's the thing,
since COVID, just to pause real there, not everyone knows that. That is since, I believe, March 2020, before they did have to have 10%. Now, banks literally is 0% of assets. That's a good point.
And here's the thing. While everyone was talking, I was thinking about my time when I was getting ready to launch an exchange. Some of you guys might remember that. And we were working on that for a while, and we had investors and a lot of stuff. And, there are a lot of different variables to owning and operating an exchange that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. And it scared the shit out of me, quite frankly. I was like, no, this is not my bag. This is not what I want to be. I don't want to be responsible for this. I don't want to be involved in this. Liquidity pools are a big thing in crypto, basically using the markets of other more established crypto exchanges, paying fees on that, on, transactional fees on volume based off of the liquidity pools you're using. Quite frankly, I don't know if there is technically a single exchange that wouldn't be insolvent right now if there was a bank run on all exchanges. I mean, because in order to keep transactions fast, you have to do it on an internal ledger system. You're not doing all these transactions on the blockchain. So that in and of itself means that you're doing a lot of paper trading amongst people that you may or may not have the funds to source, or there's no liquidity there, and it can only grow out of hand over time. There are just so many different variables to this. Do I think they're all going to be fractional? Yeah, I do. I think they're all going to fall under the standard financial transactions that banks and everyone else does, because before long the regulation is going to come through like a big reaper, and it's going to knock out all of the lesser known projects, all of the lesser known exchanges. It's all going to basically be in these more controllable entities. They're probably only going to ever end up being 2 or 3 exchanges in the grand scheme of all things anyway, if the WEF has anything to do with it, which it seems they do. And, there are just so many different variables to this. And yeah, it's all, here's the thing, and I'll leave it with this. Think of all of your rainbows and butterflies and what you all expect to get out of cryptocurrency, the freedom, the transparency, all of that, and then flip it on its head. That's the future of crypto, because there isn't going to be, in the grand scheme of retail investment and retail crypto, I just don't see it as the big bed of roses that the majority of people do. Not to say that there isn't fantastic amounts of wealth still to be made, but I think, by 2030, 2035, there's probably going to be 3 or 4, if that, major exchanges. That's all there's going to be. There's probably going to be one CBDC stable token that everybody's forced to use. I just think that things are going to start really dwindling away, and the cream, so to speak, is going to be risen to the top, and that cream is going to be the one. Those are going to be the players that are most easily controlled, regulated, compliant with the rules set forth, so forth and so on.
I think there's so much great insight there. A lot of good predictions. I'm going to keep moving that USDT on KuCoin as long as possible. I'll reject the CBDC. And just to push back on one point, Brian Armstrong did speak this weekend and said all Coinbase assets are held on a 1-to-1 reserve. Although OGs in the space will know, if we all open that app at once, no one's moving anything. But that is what Brian said over the weekend. All right, that is all we have time for. And Crypto Crow, go ahead, take that taste of victory, and maybe this is your stump speech to announce your next exchange that you're about to launch.
No, the exchanges are definitely not happening. I mean, I guess I can talk about Soblocks. Soblocks.com, social media platform. We're building on Cardano. Check it out. Have some fun. It's in beta. And obviously, always grab yourself a Murder a Crow, because you like the art, not the money.
All right, and that's all we got time for. It's been a great episode. Make sure you hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe to every channel you see here. Stick around. Frankie will be starting any minute now. What we got?